Politics is not a subject you choose. It is the environment you are born into. Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of the world, future leaders, thinkers, and observers of power. Today, we speak of a word that provokes emotion, division, passion, and denial. A word many claim to hate. A word many believe they can avoid. That word is politics. There are people who proudly say, "I don't care about politics." They say it as if it were a declaration of independence, as if it were proof of neutrality or virtue. But politics does not require your attention in order to shape your life. Politics decides the borders you live within. Politics decides the laws you obey. Politics decides the currency you earn, the passport you carry, the education you receive, and the future you inherit. You may refuse to learn politics, but politics has already learned everything about you. This is not a campaign speech. This is not propaganda. This is not an argument. It is an explanation. Because before we argue about politics, before we divide over it, before we weaponize it, we must first understand what it is. The origin of politics. Politics did not begin with elections. It did not begin with constitutions. It did not begin with parliaments or presidents. Politics began the moment human beings stopped living alone. The moment two people desired the same land, the same food, the same authority, or the same security, a question emerged. Who decides? That question is older than civilization, older than writing, older than law. In the earliest human communities, there were no written rules, but there were leaders, there were elders, there were punishments and rewards, and there was power. Man is by nature a political animal. Aristotle. Not because humans enjoy debate, but because humans cannot coexist without organization. Politics is not chaos. Politics is what prevents chaos from consuming a society. It is the system through which conflict is managed, not eliminated. Because conflict is natural. Disagreement is inevitable. Harmony does not arise spontaneously. What politics is, and what it is not. Politics is not noise. It is not outrage. It is not slogans. It is not shouting matches on screens. Those are expressions of politics, not its essence. Politics at its core is the process through which power is distributed, exercised, limited, and justified within a society. Every political system, regardless of culture, religion, or ideology, answers the same questions. Who has power? How did they obtain it? Why should others accept it? Politics is the striving to share power or to influence the distribution of power. Max Weber. Where power exists, politics exists. You cannot remove politics from society any more than you can remove gravity from the physical world. What changes is not the presence of politics, but who understands it. Power, the heart of politics. Power is often misunderstood. Power is not volume, power is not aggression, power is not cruelty. Power is the capacity to shape outcomes. A teacher has power over a classroom. A judge has power over a sentence. A government has power over a population. Politics is the architecture of that power. There are societies ruled primarily by force, and societies ruled primarily by consent. The strongest states are not those that punish the most, but those that need to punish the least. Because force creates obedience. Belief creates stability. Power does not ask permission. It seeks legitimacy. Legitimacy is the invisible foundation of every lasting political order. When people believe authority is rightful, they obey without coercion. When legitimacy collapses, no army is large enough to maintain control forever. Why you cannot escape politics. You did not choose your nationality. You did not negotiate your citizenship. You did not vote on the laws you were born under. And yet, they define your life, your access to opportunity, your freedom of movement, your legal protections. To say, "I am apolitical," is not neutrality. It is delegation. It means allowing others to decide, without your understanding or consent. Neutrality in politics always favors the powerful. There is no empty space in politics, only power waiting to be occupied. Politics and government. Politics is older than government. Government is the institutional expression of political power. Politics exists wherever authority exists, in families, in workplaces, in universities, in religious institutions. Politics is the river. Government is the canal. A society without government still has politics. A government without politics cannot exist. The state and legitimacy. A state is not merely land or population. A state is an organization that claims the monopoly of legitimate force over a territory. But force alone does not govern. Legitimacy governs. A government that rules only by fear is already collapsing. Legitimacy may come from tradition, from law, from performance, or from belief. When legitimacy is strong, power is quiet. When legitimacy is weak, power is loud. History does not collapse suddenly. It erodes slowly. Ideology and politics. Ideologies are not lies. They are interpretations. They offer visions of how society should be organized. They define fairness, order, freedom, and equality. But ideology is a map, not the territory. Politics requires adaptation. Reality does not bend to theory. Ideology gives direction. Politics confronts reality. Wise leaders understand ideology. Dangerous leaders worship it. International politics. Within states, law governs power. Between states, power governs law. There is no global sovereign, no world government, no final authority. International politics is a system without a referee. States cooperate when interests align. They compete when interests collide. Morality influences diplomacy. Power determines outcomes. Peace is not permanent. It is negotiated daily. The individual and political awareness. You do not need to rule to be political. To understand politics is to protect yourself from manipulation, to recognize propaganda, to distinguish authority from performance. The most dangerous citizen is not the rebel, but the uninformed. Political literacy is not activism. It is self-defense. Final address. Politics is not evil. Politics is not sacred. Politics is inevitable. The question is not whether politics should exist. The question is whether it will be understood or blindly endured. Those who understand power rarely abuse it. Those who ignore it are always crushed by it. Politics is not something you watch. It is something you live inside. And whether you rule or are ruled depends on how well you understand it.